All right, this is a question that Sierra asked about, so I'm going to go through it. And I have to admit, I just went through this problem, and it's a little bit of a pain in the rear as far as trying to figure out exactly what it's looking for. So you can use this as a model as you do these problems, and hopefully it'll help you get through it. And honestly, what we're going to do on the left side is the most important part to understand. And so let's see what we can do here. So first of all, we have the function f of x equals 4/5 x, and we have f inverse of x equals 5/4 x. So basically what the f function does is it multiplies your input by 4/5, and the inverse function multiplies your input by 5/4. And so that's the thing we want to remember. So it says show that the inverse function of f, or f inverse of x, equals 5/4 x. So to show that that's true, we have to find f inverse of f of x and f of f inverse of x and check to see that they each equal x. So each is x, so they each should equal x. Okay, so that's the first part. So far, so good. All right, so beginning with f inverse of f of x. Now, this is what we call a composition of functions, which we've done before. We did f of g of x, g of f of x. Basically, if you can say this, hopefully you'll remember what it means. F inverse of f of x means basically f inverse of f of x. In other words, f of x is going to be the input for the f inverse function. Again, we read it f inverse of f of x. So f of x is your input. And so you can see here, let's see, so it's f inverse of f of x, which is this last choice here. So when you read this, it's the same way that you read this. And so that's the correct answer. So here's the part where you got to be careful. Now this is actually just the definition of composition of functions. All right, so that should be good. All right, let's move on. And so we have f inverse of f of x. So remember, the f inverse function multiplies 5/4 times whatever your input is. Well, f of x here is 5/4 x. So we're going to replace f of x with 5/4 x. So we have f inverse of 5/4 x. So all we did was replace f of x with 5/4 x. Now again, it's this right side that you got to be a little bit careful. Aren't we replacing f of x with 5/4 x? Let's see, did I get that backwards? F of x equals, I should say, I'm sorry, it should be 4/5 x. I've got this backwards because f of x equals 4/5 x. So we're replacing f of x with 4/5 x. So basically, we're just using the fact that f of x equals 4/5 x. So substitute f of x equals 4/5 x. All right, let's check our answer. And so there's that. Now, here's where you got to be careful, or at least I did. Now, f inverse, what is that function? Well, it's the function that multiplies 5/4 times your input. So we're going to multiply 5/4. So you could just type in 5 divide 4 using the slash, or you can actually use this template for fractions, and then arrow over, and the asterisk is what you use for multiplication. And then what I found, because see, I originally did 5/4 parentheses times 4/5 x, and it didn't, I don't think it worked. So I'm using the dot or the asterisk for multiplication here. So remember, the inverse function, it's going to take 5/4 times whatever your input is. So in this case, it's going to be 5/4 times our input, which is 4/5 x. So let's type 4 divide 5, arrow over to the right, and then put in an x. So don't use parentheses here. I don't think it works, even though it should. And so this is the one I think was kind of tricky. So we're basically multiplying 5/4 x times what f of x was. So notice, remember f of x was 4/5 x. So we're multiplying 5/4 times our input. That's what we do with the inverse function. And our input was f of x. So it's 5/4 times f of x. So let's check our answer. Uh-oh, I messed that one up. Let me see. Recall the definition of f inverse. What did I do wrong there? So, oh wait, did it say the right one or the... Your second answer is incorrect. Okay, so let me fix that. What did I do wrong? So f inverse, oh, I see. So the correct one is 5/4 x. So basically, we're using, see, our input here in the problem we're doing is not x actually, but we're using the inverse function, so we're multiplying 5/4 times our input. So this is the one we want to use. And if you thought that's a little tricky, I think so too. All right, and then finally, see here, when you multiply reciprocals, you get 1. So I really don't like their options here. It says divide out common factors or multiply the common factors. Um, I mean, if you multiply the common factors, that would be 4 and 4. Well, we don't want to multiply the 4s. They basically cancel. And the same thing with the 5s here. And so you should say divide out the common factors. Now, I wouldn't say it that way, but that's how they're doing it. So anyway, I'm sorry for the stuff on the right side. I know that's a little bit weird. Um, but if you use this as a guide, hopefully you'll be able to get full credit. And if you feel like anything was unfair, just let me know and I can fix that problem and give you full credit. The most important thing is that you understand how to do what's on the left side. All right, so let me do my final check. And so I'm done. And that's the end of our video here.